Charm was her dream man, but behind her back, he was fooling around with rich girls, keeping Sandy as just a backup. My friends knew about it, I knew about it, but she didn't. She was still hopelessly in love with Harry. Because of that, for 3 years, she treated me with cold indifference. Then came graduation. Around that time, Sandy's mom got into a car accident and needed a huge sum for surgery. Desperate, Sandy messaged me, begging to borrow $800,000. I was out drinking with friends and missed her message. When I saw it later that night, I wired the money immediately. But before the funds hit her account, she had already texted out of despair, "If you lend me the money, I'll agree to any of your terms." To her, I was buying her with $800,000. The next morning, she showed up at my door, soaked in rain. I wanted to explain, but she looked like she was about to faint. I had no chance to say no. She moved in to respect her dignity. I didn't say a word. I didn't touch her. 2 months later, completely out of the blue, she said, "Let's get married." My heart, which had been suppressed for so long, fluttered with joy. I was overwhelmed with happiness. Later, I found out Harry had left the country with a wealthy girl. Sandy married me, hoping that would make Harry come back. Leo would never just watch me marry someone like Alex. She confessed that, drunk on her birthday, not knowing I was outside the room to her. I was the reason she didn't get a happy ending. With Harry, 8 years our marriage was filled with resentment. No matter how much effort I put in, I could never ease the hatred she had toward me. With my help, she became a major figure in the industry. Meanwhile, my family went bankrupt. Now, my feelings for her have faded. Facing Sandy, I wanted to explain, but all I could do was sigh. "Sandy, let's get a divorce." Her expression instantly turned cold. "Don't mention divorce again. Make dinner. Leo's coming over." Her unquestionable tone and arrogant attitude, because I had always given into her whims, I was frustrated. "Do it yourself." Sandy paused, a flicker of anger on her face. "What's your problem?" "I already explained about the wedding. Is this still about the baby? We can just have another one." 3 months ago, she got pregnant. I had always dreamed of having a child with her, but she'd always resisted being intimate. This pregnancy happened because of pressure from her family. Still, I was thrilled, eagerly waiting for the baby's arrival last month. She miscarried. She said it happened because she went hiking with Harry, overexerted herself, and lost the baby. "It's not about the child. I'm just tired," I said, and turned away, heading into the bedroom. I wanted to sleep. The loss had hurt me deeply, but now I had moved on. I don't know how much time passed, but suddenly Sandy yanked the blanket off me. Cold air blew in from the open window, jolting me awake. She stood there with a stern face. "Dinner's ready." Without waiting for a reply, she walked out quickly. I paused, surprised. She was wearing an apron. In 8 years of marriage, I had never tasted a meal cooked by Sandy. I was always the one cooking, always the one waiting for her to come home now. She was cooking for Harry. I was hungry, and I had no excuse to refuse. In the living room, Harry was already at the table, smiling. Sandy sat next to him, her lips curled into a soft smile. Harry looked at me and smiled at Sandy. "See? I told you Alex isn't petty. He wouldn't skip dinner just to be dramatic. He's not a kid." I chuckled and sat down, saying nothing. I just watched them talk and laugh together. Harry glanced at me from time to time, his eyes full of smugness. I didn't care. I just ate quietly. About half an hour later, Sandy finished eating. She whispered something to Harry, then hurried off to the study. Now it was just the two of us. Harry looked at me and smirked. "Remember sophomore year? When you confessed to Sandy in front of everyone?" Instantly, the memory came rushing back, painful and humiliating. In sophomore year, I'd planned a romantic setup surrounded by flowers and classmates. To confess my feelings for Sandy, she told me she'd say yes, but only if I got down. On one knee, I knelt. She smashed a cake in my face and said, "Don't ever bother me again." It became the talk of the school. I was humiliated. I stared at Harry. His grin widened. That wasn't like her, right? No, why? That week I was. In a bad mood, she used you to cheer me up. She even sent me a photo. Want to see it? This was Harry's usual trick, small provocations, stirring things up so Sandy would turn against me. He wanted her to think I was the problem. But this time, I didn't care. Then I heard footsteps. Sandy returned holding a stack of photos. She sat down next to Harry. I got the beach photos developed from our last trip. Based on her vacation days, that trip had to be last weekend. That same weekend, I got into a car accident. I called her and she told me she was on a business. Trip said she was too busy to deal with anything. My heart skipped a beat. I put down my chopsticks. "I'm done eating," said, and walked straight into the study. I had just sat down when my phone rang. "Hello, are you Sandy's husband? Her miscarriage test results are ready. Can you come to the hospital to pick them up? We can't get in touch with her." The next day, I went to the hospital. After I got back, I started drafting my resignation letter. Since I was going to divorce her, I might as well leave the job too. After my family went bankrupt, I joined Sandy's company. Most of her company's success was built on the connections and resources my family had shared back when we were thriving. For 8 years, I worked hard for her, barely ever stopping. And yet, I was still just a low-level employee. There was no point in staying. I opened my computer and began typing the letter. But the door suddenly swung open. Sandy stood there, arms crossed, her expression frosty. "Are you still mad? Tomorrow, go to HR. You're being promoted to technical director. Last month, I'd applied for that position. My application was instantly rejected. Later, I heard from HR that Sandy had already planned for Harry to take that role, apparently. Harry didn't want it. Now, Sandy was tossing it to me as a consolation prize. I didn't say anything. And Sandy acted like everything was resolved. It's my mom's birthday. This weekend, I was asked to come over to Sandy's family gathering. I wasn't thrilled, her entire family. Opportunists. Back when my family was doing well, they were all smiles and honeyed words, just chasing money. Then, when Sandy's company took off thanks to help from my parents and we went bankrupt, their attitudes flipped. Not a kind look in sight. They looked down on me, whispering I wasn't good enough for Sandy, looking at the miscarriage report I'd just received. I realized needed to go. 3 days later, I arrived at Sandy's family mansion as planned. The scorn in their eyes hit me like a wave. "Alex, you're finally here. Go take out the kitchen trash, we're busy." They barely looked at me. To them, I was a freeloader. I used to bow to these people for Sandy's sake. Let them trample me, humiliate me. Even the butler and staff treated me like a servant. But not today. I walked right in. Inside, Sandy and Harry were fawning over Grandma. "I've sorted out your grandson's admission to first school. In a couple of days, the principal himself will welcome you." Tom's kid, Sandy's nephew, was the grandson. Grandma beamed, and everyone started singing Harry's praises. "You've really made it. Studied abroad, well-connected. Got a kid into first school just like that." And one of them added, "If Leo were family, it'd be so much easier for all of us." I stepped in. The room fell silent. Then someone scoffed. "Alex heard you got a promotion lately. Working under your wife's must be living the dream, huh?" What was Sandy thinking? Look at Leo, then at you, night and day. The laughter that followed was sharp and mocking. Sandy said nothing. Ahari looked smug. Grandma's glare pierced through. "Me, if you're good for nothing else, at least give me a grandchild. It's been 8 years. Get out of here. Stop embarrassing yourself." The room reeked of disdain. Sandy didn't want children, but never told her mother that. She blamed me instead. Maybe feeling guilty now, she leaned in and whispered, "Get out while you can. My mom's giving you an out." Everyone watched, waiting for me to shrink away in shame. I didn't, Grandma, I said slowly. Sandy was pregnant a few months ago. She miscarried. Grandma jumped up. Miscarried. What happened? She said it was from hiking. But yesterday I got this from the hospital. I handed over the miscarriage report. Grandma read it, her face darkening. Excessive activity caused the miscarriage, ma'am. Check the date in that day. I was home all night cooking for you. Sandy's face drained of color. She grabbed Harry's hand. Alex, you're insane. Today is my mom's birthday. Did you plan this to shame us? Everyone turned against me. Sandy's mom clenched her fists. Harry pretended to be offended, though I could see the glee behind his mask. Even if you hate me, Alex, don't do this on her birthday. Remember who supported you all these years. The guests took his side. Typical living off a woman and now trying to be the tragic hero. They laughed again. I knew you'd say that, I said calmly. So I prepared. I pulled out my phone, called the doctor on speaker. Doctor, did you ask me to pick up Sandy's miscarriage report? Yes, and I told her to avoid intimacy next time, or it could harm her uterus. Thanks, Doc. Hung up. Sandy was glaring at me. If anyone still doubts, I can share the hospital and doctor's name. Feel free to verify. The room fell quiet. Even if they didn't care deeply, they were annoyed. Sandy's cold image was cracking. Sandy, I said, pulling out the divorce papers. Let's get divorced. Then you can be with Harry. It's none of my business. I walked away. I moved out. The next I heard of Sandy, it was on the news. As an heir, she was under heavy scrutiny. The scandal went viral. Her company stock tanked. I was preparing to file a lawsuit for the divorce when she finally contacted me. She wanted to meet at our old cafe near university, the place where we'd shared sweet coffee during better days. Seemed fitting to end things where they began. I walked in. There she was, Sandy, cozy with Harry, shameless. I pushed the papers across the table. Sign it. She slid over my old favorite drink. Don't rush. Have a drink. You used to love it. I pushed it back. No thanks. I prefer sweet now. Sandy looked surprised. Harry chuckled. He thought I was still weak. She leaned in. I want to discuss something. I braced for it. Harry and I, we think the best solution is for the three of us to live together. Do you still love me? I can't let go of Harry. Help us clear my name, secure my position, and we'll accept you. I nearly gagged. Harry added, think about it. Help Sandy keep her inheritance, and I don't mind sharing her. The nausea hit hard. I threw up right there. They stared, confused. Looking at Harry, I asked, she was your first love. How can you be so heartless? Sandy snapped. Cut the crap. Just say yes already. Didn't you always think Harry wasn't good enough for me? Prove it. I chuckled, staring at her. She already knew the answer. Just couldn't admit it. Too bad, I said. I have morals. I don't wear other people's old shoes, even if I have to walk barefoot on glass. I stood up. Divorce wasn't a whim. It was a decision. I might fall from grace, but I'll never stoop to sharing a woman. As I walked away, I heard Sandy scream and things crash. Music to my ears. I filed for divorce. She trashed her office. In rage when the papers came. I smiled. She couldn't handle a tan. This was just the beginning. I'd loved Sandy for 11 years. Sacrificed everything. But I came from privilege. I'd seen life's harsh side. I wasn't a fool. I stayed quiet in her family's business, gathering resources. When my family's situation improved, I put those to work. The projects I started flourished. My game company went public top 100 globally. People thought I survived by clinging to Sandy. But I had the mind for business. Next phase, reclaim everything. Her family relied heavily on me, no skills of their own. I'd laid traps, waited. Once they faltered, I moved. I sent a lawyer. Sell me the company at 1/3 of its value, and I'll rescue you. Sandy refused. But debt suffocated her. She caved. She signed, never realizing I was the buyer. When I returned to the office, it was empty. Sandy stormed in. "Alex, what are you doing here?" Arms crossed, disgusted. I was about to reply, but she snapped, trying to reconcile now. "With Leo. Abroad, you think I'm available again? Pathetic." I just smiled. Harry probably ran off with the money. No deals were happening. I didn't explain. She grabbed my arm. "If you want to get back together, the company, don't worry about it," I interrupted, afraid she'd say something I couldn't stomach. "Sandy, no. The company is already mine." She blinked. "What are you saying?" My lawyer walked in. "The buyer, it's me." Sandy staggered. "You're lying." I motioned to the lawyer. He handed her the contract. "Since Harry ran off with the funds, your debt rises by $50 million. Sign here if you agree." She stared. At the paper lost, I took a step back. "Handle this." I don't want to talk to her. Later that day, the acquisition was finalized. Staring out at the city, I got a call. Harry's plane crashed. He's dead. Soon after, I heard Sandy took her own life. I looked at the wedding ring I'd removed, tossed it off the rooftop. Let the past die with it. Under my leadership, the company rose again, just like my life. A roller coaster, sure. But now I was in control.